Next topic is parsing. Parsing is the first step in the process of understanding a sentence and is to assign elements of its surface structure to linguistic categories, a procedure known as parsing. Parsing is a term which has been derived from a Latin word parse, which is parts of speech. Now, parsing has different definitions and different meanings in the different branches of linguistics and computer sciences. Basically, it is done to analyze or understand the meaning of sentences, and mostly sentence diagram is used to look at the different constituents of sentences. In computer science, parsing is done in order to look at a sentence having strings of words resulting into a parse tree. In psycholinguistics, it is used to understand knowledge, used to understand the knowledge of language, and it is done to look at a sentence in terms of its grammatical constituents, parts of speech, and syntactic relations. So how parsing is done and how meaning is derived from parsing, we are going to explain that. Now, as you can see, you have a diagram in front of you, and each diagram has certain categories. Parsing is done in terms of looking at the different constituents of a sentence. If you look at here, here's the determiner, which is important to form noun phrase. Noun phrase is an important constituent of a sentence. So you can see the as determiner. Then for noun phrase, let's say we have here noun phrase comprising of the and noun, determiner and noun. Then you have noun phrase which consists of determiner and noun, the actor. And then you have the word phrase which consists of verb thanked. And when you look at the actor thanked the, then you will see noun phrase having the determiner and the noun, having verb phrase, verb is thanked, and then another determiner to constitute noun phrase. So the actor thanked the, and then you have the actor thanked the audience. So you have a sentence, it has a noun phrase. Noun phrase further consists of determiners and noun, has a verb phrase which consists of verb and then noun phrase. Further has the determiner and the noun. So the sentence, in order to understand the meaning, you look at the different grammatical constituents of a sentence and you take the help of a sentence diagram to analyze this. Then, according to Carpenter in 1980, he proposed that we make these decisions immediately when we come across these sentences. As we encounter a word or sentence, we refer to understanding of it as immediacy principle or principle of immediacy. Now, according to this principle, when we first see or hear a word, we access its meaning from permanent memory, identify its likely referent word which or the meaning or phrases that concept to which they are referred to, they are called referents, and fit it into the syntactic structure of sentence. Now, the alternative to immediacy principle is wait and see. Wait and see approach. That is to postpone interpreting a word or phrase until it is clearer where a sentence is going. Now, The primary reason that we use immediate processing is that the number of decisions involved in understanding even a single sentence can be quite large and thus can overload our cognitive resources. Now, for example, you hear a sentence, John bought the flower for Susan. John bought the flower for Susan. Now, the sentence actually is syntactically ambiguous. So we are now considering how through parsing we have understood the sentence constituents, but then there are sentences who are ambiguous and how to go about developing their understanding. So let's say this is syntactically ambiguous. It might mean that John bought the flower to give to Susan, or that John bought a flower as a favor for Susan, who intended to give it to maybe some another person. Now this ambiguity encountered when we hear the word for. Suppose further we kept in mind both meanings of the sentence, but then flower has more than one interpretation also. So it could mean flower and it could also mean floor. Suppose in this area we decided to take wait and see approach, and we wait for further information before deciding which interpretation to use. Now such an approach has a major disadvantage. However, if we retained two or more interpretations of each of several choice points, we would rapidly overwhelm our working memory, according to Singer, 1990. So we have both the immediacy principle and wait and see approach. So both have their shortcomings and both have their advantages. Although immediacy of processing reduces memory load, it may also lead to errors in parsing. So looking at the wait and see approach, where you wait and decide till further information is added, or there is an immediacy of processing, both have certain advantages and disadvantages when it comes to parsing of a statement or a sentence. To conclude, parsing is a process of assigning elements of surface structure to linguistic categories. Because of limitations in processing resources, we begin to parse sentences as we see or hear each word in a sentence.